We are live.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you're able and join me in the welcoming of City Council and the playing of the national anthem and the reading of the invocation.
Please remain standing as you're able as I read the invocation to begin the January City Council meeting. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. We acknowledge the rich history of this land, which includes the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Today, there are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who live or work in the city. The intent of this acknowledgement is to recognize our responsibility to use and take care of these lands responsibly and respectfully while remembering the generations past and the generations yet to come. We respect and seek to continue and promote the longstanding relationships with this area's First Nations, the Six Nations, the Gremler First Nation, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Indigenous peoples who reside within the city of Brantford. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us, so that we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Please be seated. As we begin tonight's meeting, I'd also like to make note that we recently had the passing of a former fire chief, and so it's with great sadness that we learned yesterday of the passing of retired Fire Chief Garth Dix, whose legacy of dedication, service, and leadership will forever be part of the Brantford Fire Department and our community. Chief Dix's career with the Brantford Fire Department began on June 24, 1974 as a recruit firefighter. Over the course of 37 years, he worked his way through the ranks, earning promotions to captain in 94, deputy fire chief in 1995, and ultimately to fire chief on January the 1st, 2002. After leading the department with distinction for over a decade, he retired in 2012. Under his leadership, the Brantford Fire Department became a model of progress, modernizing its fleet of frontline vehicles and equipment, enhancing health and safety practices, and advancing fire prevention and public education programs. His commitment to excellence in operations and his leadership by example have had a lasting impact on the department and on the city he served. So our deepest condolences go out to Chief Dix's family, friends, and former colleagues. He will be missed, and his contributions to the Brantford Fire Department and our city will not be forgotten and marked here tonight. So I'd ask we take a moment's silence to recognize what it is that Garth Dix contributed to our community and acknowledgement and remembrance of his passing. I should also acknowledge that city flags and those of the fire department have been flying at half-mast since yesterday morning. So with that, we'll now move into the business of this evening. Mr. Clerk, have you taken the roll? Are you about to take the roll, please?
Yes, Counselor Samwell,
Present.
Counselor Hunt,
Present.
Counselor Martin,
Here.
Counselor Caputo,
Present.
Counselor Sokoli,
Present.
Counselor Van Tilburg. Here. Counselor Sluts,
Present.
Counselor McCreary,
Here.
Counselor Sullivan,
Present.
and Mayor Davis.
I'm here.
Through the chair, roll call's been taken.
All right. Does anybody need to make a declaration of pecuniary interest regarding any item on tonight's agenda? If so, physically raise your hand. Seeing no raised hands, no pecuniary interest. So let's talk about any items that any member would like separated for discussion purposes. Counselor Sokoli.
12.2.2, please.
That's the designation of 53 Charlotte Street. Okay. Counselor Perry.
12.2.4.
The MAT administration policy. All right. Not seeing any other requests for separation. I think Councilor Curry, you have the motion to approve the items that have not been separated. Would you please read your motion and state your seconder?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor, for that. I'm the mover. Counselor Martin is the seconder on this item. And it reads that all items contained within the committee reports, items 12.1 to 12.3, which are not separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
All right. Before we take the vote, Mr. Clerk, would you please read the title of the items we're voting on?
Through the chair, the following items are subject to the vote from the Social Services Committee report. Item 12.1.1, update report on 1387 Colborne Street East. 12.1.2, annual update CMHC National Housing Co-investment funding for renovation, repair, and renewal. 12.1.3, 2024 annual update on housing developments. From the combined committee, the whole report. 12.2.1, increasing nitrate levels in the Grand River. 12.2.3, animal care facility project update. 12.2.5, Brantford Airport Board report. 12.2.6, retroactive charity rebate for Brant United Way. From the planning committee report. 12.3.1, zoning bylaw amendment TZ 1124. 816 Colburn Street. 12.3.2, 195 Savannah Oaks Drive, application for telecommunication tower.
Yeah, good inputs.
All items not separated for discussion purposes carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council voting in favor: Councilors Sullivan, Sluss, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so we have no statutory public hearings on tonight's agenda, and there are no recognitions of achievement. We do have one proclamation on tonight's agenda, and Councilor Samuel, if you please move the proclamation, state your seconder, and then read proclamation 8.1.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Van Tilburg that the following proclamation be approved. 8.1, Black History Month, February 2025. Whereas Brantford is culturally diverse and is home to many people and communities, and whereas the Black community has been a fundamental part of Brantford's history since at least the 1800s, and whereas the first half of the 1800s, Brantford's East Ward neighborhood became home to many freedom-seeking individuals and families, the Drake Memorial Church located on Murray Street was the hub for these families to share, learn, and grow. Whereas in 1885, the Brantford residents and Whereas in 1885, Brantford resident and Brantford collegiate student Blanche Williams became the first Black woman admitted to fully participate in undergraduate studies at the University of Toronto. And whereas in 1903, Brantford's Black community hosted an annual Emancipation Day celebration in Mohawk Park to celebrate the British Empire's abolition of slavery for the first time, this event brought thousands of tourists to Brantford. These celebrations have been reimagined in recent years by local Black businesses, athletes, organizers, bringing hundreds of families to Mohawk Park to mark the occasion. And whereas these stories remind us of the ways that the Black community has for many generations contributed to the cultural, economic, political, social development of the city of Brantford, and whereas the city of Brantford wishes to join all citizens in honoring the rich histories of Black individuals, Black-led businesses, organizations, groups, and communities in Brantford, and whereas the city of Brantford recognizes the past, present, and future contributions of the Black community, and now therefore it be resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaims the month of February 2025 as Black History Month. Thank you.
All right, I'll now call the vote.
The approval of all proclamations carries unanimously on recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilbrook, Samuel Carpenter, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I had problems logging in, but I wanted to separate two items not for discussion, just for the vote, 12.2.5 and 11.4, please, if that's possible.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we've already voted on it, so I would need an actual resolution to bring them back, I believe. 2/3 vote, I'm not sure if you want to do that or not, just for the sake of the separate vote. Anyways, so we'll now move on to presentation delegation, so there are none. Councillor Carpenter, I believe you have the motion to receive the clerk's report and communication. You please read that and state your seconder. Councillor Hunt, if you would please do that.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Carpenter, that the clerk's report on communications for January 2025 be received.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, call the vote.
The clerk's report on communication carries unanimously on recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilbrook, Samuel Carpenter, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor David.
All right, we'll now move to minutes. Councillor Martin, I think you have the motion on minutes.
Yes, thank you. I move, seconded by Councillor McCreary, that the following minutes be adopted. 11.1, Special Council, December 10th. 11.2, Special Council, Private and Confidential, December 10th. 11.3, John Noble Home Committee of Management, December 11th. 11.4, City Council, December 17th. 11.5, Special City Council, January 14th. 11.6, Special City Council, Private and Confidential, January 14th, and 11.7, Special City Council, January 14th.
All right, so I'll now call the vote on the minutes.
The approval of minutes carries on recorded vote of 10-1. Members of council voting in favor. Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilbrook, Samuel, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillor Carpenter.
All right, Councillor Van Tilburg, could you please read the motion to place the separated items on the floor for discussion?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Samuel, that all items in the committee report separated for discussion be approved.
All right, we'll move to the items that are separated. The first one is 12.2.2. That's the designation of 53 Charlotte Street under the Ontario Heritage Act. Councillor Sokoli, you asked for this to be separated.
I did. Just one question of staff before we finalize this. Not sure who would answer that. But just curious if, just making sure that the owner of this property is agreeable to this designation. Fine.
So through the chair, Nicole Wilmot, Commissioner of Community Development, to Councillor Sicoli. Yes, the applicant and owner is in support of future designation of the cottage. We've been working with them for quite some time, so I think everybody is happy to see this come forward at this time. However, it is important to move quickly. I do understand that they have future plans for the property, and so anything that we can do to expedite the process would be fantastic, which is why staff are seeking alternative notice requirements under the Ontario Heritage Act that would allow us to move more quickly through the mandatory notice period.
Thank you for that. And in staying on brand in this case, because we have the owner's commitment to moving forward, I'd be happy to support this designation. Thank you.
Councillor McCurry.
Mayor, thank you. And I want to thank all members of council tonight for the unanimous support that I anticipate will be forthcoming with this project. This is the final piece to a process that's taken a long time, and it's helped preserve a vital piece of Brantford's history. Councillor Martin and I brought this probably 2021 or 2022 as a resolution. And it's been a superb partnership between the corporation of the city of Brantford, the Brant Museum and Archives, the developer, and Dan and Carolee Brown. It's an investment by the city of Brantford of a not inconsiderable sum to pay for the new home to this building on a foundation. I believe we contributed about $100,000. The developer probably was in for 4 or 5 times that. Mayberry Homes, owned by a former municipal councillor here, Mike Wakachaki, did the work. We now are at the end of this process. We've saved this building. For those of you who've been in it, and I think some of you have, it's a testament to the skill of the Browns with respect to the work they've been doing in this community for a number of years. This is a model for heritage conservation. It's something that we've done in the city of Brantford previously, although not since the 90s. And it's a testament to what we can do when we look at a compromise to secure the future of our heritage, as well as offer developers the opportunity to develop a piece of property. So again, thank you to everybody that's going to support this tonight. And thank you to the Browns for their hard work, and to the Brant Historical Society as well, their prior and their current board who facilitated this. And I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful home for whoever the new owner is, and hopefully very soon. So again, thank you everybody for the involvement and for the support for this.
Councillor Samuel.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this very brief, but I really just wanted to thank the current owners for how beautifully they've restored a piece of Brantford's history, and just to kind of really emphasize what can happen when somebody is in support of a heritage designation and puts the work in to really make a difference in our community. So I just wanted to thank them for that. Thank you.
All right, I'll call the vote.
Item 12.2.2 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0 members voting in favor. Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, Mayor Davis.
All right, we'll now move on to the next item was separated. That is 12.2.4, the MET administration policy. Councillor McCurry, you asked for this to be separated.
Mayor, thank you very much. And again, this is an initiative that Councillor Martin and I introduced these many years ago. I believe this one was pre-COVID. This allows us as a community to begin to collect room taxes as we pay when we go to Ottawa and Buffalo and Toronto. And those room taxes that we collect here help us as a community do some things without having to pony up the money in-house from our taxpayers and our collection of taxes. Going back some time, initially, Sarah Monroe, who was with us for many years, and I did a community consultation with the owners of hotels and motels. And lately, Cara Davey and I did the same consultation to Refresh. And I want to thank Cara for her hard work on this file and the hard work that she will be continuing to do as we go forward. As I said, this is on hold during COVID. We thought it was grossly unfair to have introduced a new wrinkle to the hotel industry, which was already hobbled by these closures that we had and the decline of the hospitality industry for a period of time. So tonight there's a culmination of all the work we've done, and visitors to Brantford will be paying that levy on hotel rooms, motel rooms, and short stay accommodations. I believe it's up to 30 days. The money that we receive from people from away, we're going to invest in tourism and community initiatives. We've got a new kid in town, and it's called the Brantford Tourism Development Corporation. It's comprised of members of the community consisting of Abed Pathon, Andy Stracefeld, Bill Harding, Jay Goldberg, my friend Councillor Sless, my friend Councillor Sicoli, and lastly, oh, sorry, I forgot Jen Davies. And lastly, but far from leastly, His Worship Mayor Davis is also on that committee. So we are a standalone corporation with responsibility for the monies that we collect and disperse. The committee will be meeting for the first time on February the 18th. And the money comes to us and is split two ways. Half of it comes to the city of Brantford. Half of it goes to the Brantford Tourism Development Corporation to invest wisely in new initiatives that support the hotel industry in this city and tourism industry, of course. And by way of information, we started this in March of 2024. And to date, each of the two partners has gathered in about $284,000. The city's portion is already committed to go to building us a 5,300 seat state-of-the-art modern arena, which we're calling our sports and entertainment complex. And the remainder of the funding will be decided upon by those folks appointed to this committee to the benefit of this community and the people in it. So again, I won't presuppose, but I would thank everybody for what I presume will be a unanimous vote on this tonight.
All right, call the vote, please.
Item 12.2.4 carries on a recorded vote of 9-2. Members of council voting in favor: Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCurry, Hunt, Samuel, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed: Councillors Van Tilburg and Carpenter.
All right, order, please. Order. So we move on to the next item. We have urgent reports, and Councillor Sless, I understand you have we have one urgent report. If you please read the motion, state your seconder, and then we'll take questions and discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Caputo, that report 2025-40 titled Ava Road Bridge Additional Funding be received, and that an increase in the amount of $1,243,000 to the capital budget for the Ava Bridge CNR OSIM 102 Bridge Rehabilitation Program and Intersection Improvements Project from the following sources: $558,000 from the OCIF Reserve Fund and $685,000 from the Contingency Reserve Fund, RF 0554. And if I could, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Yes, as the mover, I would ask that staff give us an overview. This is quite a large increase, and if you could explain to us exactly how we got there, please.
Good evening, Jennifer Elliott, Director of Engineering Services. Through the chair, this report being received today is on the Ava Road Bridge. It's currently undergoing some significant structural repairs due to deterioration. The structural repairs consist of replacement of the superstructure and rehabilitation of the substructure. So this work stems from the environmental assessment that was completed many years ago. The project was identified to be completed in multiple phases. The first phase was the Terrace Hill, Terrace Road intersection realignment. And then the second phase is the bridge rehabilitation and water main replacement. So the rehabilitation project has experienced several design revisions, some delays as well relating back to CN permitting delays that we have seen, as well as some CN flagging delays of getting to the site and being able to properly flag the construction work. So as we've been moving through construction, as you would know, there was significant additional deterioration discovered as we were working through some of the contractual items, considering the piers. So the concrete, as we were chipping away on the piers, it has been discovered that it is more severely deteriorated than originally thought. So that has increased cost. It has also increased the design parameters to repair that concrete. So in order to complete all of these works, we need to approve a change order for the concrete repairs before the bridge decking can be placed back onto the new girders that are there now. So in addition to those, we've also incurred some delay charges from the contractor, which has pushed us into winter season for building. We initially wanted to complete this bridge in October, November area. These delays have pushed us now into April. And so we are seeing additional winter heating costs of the concrete, additional material costs as well. So all totaled, the additional cost for this bridge repair and rehabilitation is $1.243 million.
Thank you for that, Jen. The delays that were caused by CN, do we have any recourse to that?
So at this time that we are looking into that, we would be bringing an additional report if that is feasible. To a special city council for in-camera.
Okay. And finally, this project is scheduled to be completed in April of this year. Are we still on track for that?
That is correct. At this time, if we can approve these change orders immediately, then yes, we are on track for April 2025, opening of the bridge.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Caputo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ward mate has actually asked a couple of the questions I wanted to speak out about today. We've incurred a lot of issues with CN, right from the beginning. I just want to confirm, Jen, if you can, right from the stages of design to everything. So I'd like to get that. And do we have an opportunity at a later date to have any recourse to our consultant who put together our plan for this particular bridge with the additional monies that it cost us to do a job that CN had us to require to do at that point? Thanks.
So through the chair to you, Councillor Caputo, we are actively negotiating with the contractor and the consultant for these costs. So we're working through that, and we will be looking at any sort of potential for error, like design omissions, as well as delay costs from CN.
Okay, thank you. So with the monies that we will get tonight, we will keep us on schedule to be complete on the date that we stated we would have it done by April, correct?
Correct.
Thanks.
Councilor Carpenter.
Thank you. And this question is directed to our Director of Engineering, Jennifer. Thank you for your report. What contingency funds are we talking about here? Was it contingency funds for the project itself? Where some of the money's coming from?
So you mean for the funding sources?
Yes.
I'm going to pass that over to Joelle.
It says from the contingency reserve fund, so I'm wondering if that's contingency set up for the project.
Through Mayor Davis to Councillor Carpenter, no, this is not the contingency that's set up for the project. This is additional monies that are required for the project, with some of that funding coming from the city's corporate contingency reserve.
Okay, so, and did we already use up was there a contingency fund for this project?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter, yes, there was a contingency line on the contract that we've already utilized for additional change orders.
And what was that? Was that 10% of the project?
Yes, it was.
And what number, if you don't mind?
So the original PO, I believe, was about $6 million. So then the contingency would have been 600,000.
Okay, all right. So thank you. And are you experiencing these kinds of things with a number of projects where the prices have gone up or and unexpected things have happened where it drives the price up? This is pretty common today.
Through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter. Unfortunately, yes, it is very common in this current day and age.
Yeah, in the climate. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a couple of questions. I'll put them to you in a statement and you can agree with them if you'd like. Is it fair to say then that the basis for this is really two grounds? One is that there was additional work that was required that could not have been seen or discovered at the time the original quote and estimates were prepared.
To you, Mayor Davis, yes, that is correct. There is items that would not be seen to the naked eye that have been discovered as we've uncovered and taken the bridge.
And critical for a project having 100% structural integrity, which of course you want when you're doing a bridge.
Correct.
Right. And the other second major factor would be CN Rail. And the delays caused or due largely in part to CN Rail.
That is correct. Not only the crash wall that CN is requiring us to install, but then delays for permitting.
And that crash wall, that's interesting. That was not included in the original work that was required to be done. It was something that CN Rail insisted be included in the project, yet they wouldn't contribute a dime towards it, did they?
That is correct, sir.
Right. Typical CN, well, fill in the gap on that one. So I'm going to call the vote unless there's any other questions or comments. Yeah, we're going to separate them because BI has $558,000 in the OCIF reserve fund. That's a majority vote. But we do have $685,000 from the contingency reserve fund, which does, of course, require a 2/3 majority, right? So we're going to deal with those separately. So we're going to deal, first of all, with A, which has received the report, B, authorizing an increase of $1,243,000, and A, 558 of that coming from the OCIF reserve fund. Except, no, I think what we'll do is we'll deal firstly with the 685,000 contingency reserve funds. We don't approve that, then we got to rewrite the resolution. So we'll deal with 13.1, it's sub 2, sub B, sub 2I, the 685,000 being funded from the contingency reserve fund as required 2/3 vote.
Clause BII carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor, Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
And the balance of the resolution.
The remaining resolution carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor, Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so there are no resolutions on tonight's agenda, nor are there any notices of motion. So we'll move right into bylaws. And Councillor Sullivan, as Mayor of the Month, it's your privilege and delight to read first and second reading of all our bylaws. Short list though this month, so go ahead.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sokoli, that leave be given to the mover and seconder to introduce the following bylaws for first and second reading. Bylaw 4/2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 70/2010 by adding corporate policy 056 administration policy. Bylaw 5/2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 15381 designating the property known as the Merrittville House Museum in Farmstead at 34 Merrittville Drive as a property of cultural height, value, and interest. Bylaw 6/2025 being a bylaw to amend chapter 15 procedure of the City of Brantford Municipal Code to enable alternative procedures to giving of notices in a newspaper where the same is required of the city under parts 4 and 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act 2025-2. And bylaw 7/2025 to amend bylaw number 16090 being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the location and use of buildings and structures in the city of Brantford. Bylaw 8/2025 to amend bylaw number 124-2024 being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the location and use of buildings and structures in the city of Brantford. And bylaw 9/2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the city of Brantford with respect to the meeting held on January 28th, 2024.
Does anybody want any of the bylaws separated? First, second reading, Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, bylaw 6.
Bylaw number 6, so we'll deal with that separately. Anyone else? All right, so let's deal with bylaw number 6. Any discussion? Councilor Perry.
I wonder if we could just have our staff briefly discuss exactly what bylaw number 6 entails, please.
Who can provide us with a short synopsis? Bylaw 6.
Good evening, Alan Waterfield, Acting Director of Planning and Development. The purpose of Bylaw 6 is to facilitate a quicker process for matters that are coming through the Ontario Heritage Act, such as the designation of the Crystal Cottage that we heard about earlier this evening. It will allow us to provide notice in a quicker fashion than we would otherwise.
Thank you for that. So if I understand, then it's not only quicker, but it'll save us money because we won't have to pay for a newspaper advertisement.
That is correct.
So we save money. We satisfy the needs of the current owner of the property who wishes to have this done in a very expeditious manner so that he can sell it to a new owner that's going to love that house and start living in it and be a resident of our downtown district. Can you think of any downside to this that might lead to, I don't know, voting against it? Sorry, that's not a fair question to ask the staff. Thank you, Mayor. That's my question.
Speaker, which Councilor Carpenter, you're next.
Yeah, the question's been asked. I just wanted a clarification of what it was. I couldn't remember it. Thank you very much for the response.
Councilor Scully.
Just for clarity, bylaw 9-2025, it says that we're confirming the proceedings of a meeting held January 2024, or is that this? Just a typo? Okay.
Typo. That wasn't up for discussion anyways. So I'm going to call the vote then on bylaw number 6. First, second reading.
First and second reading of bylaw 6 carries unanimously on recorded vote. Members of council vote in favor. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Hunt, and Tilbrook, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, I'll call the vote then. First, second reading of bylaws 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
The first and second reading of all bylaws not separated for discussion purposes carries unanimously on recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council vote in favor. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Hunt, and Tilbrook, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
Right, Councilor Sicoli, if you would please read the resolution for third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sullivan, that all bylaws having received a first and second reading be taken as read a third time and finally passed and signed by the mayor and the clerk.
Councilor Carpenter, do you want 6 separate or?
No, Mr. Mayor, I got my answer.
Okay, all right. Does anybody want anything else separated? Okay, call the vote on all the bylaws, third reading.
The third reading of all bylaws not separated for discussion purposes carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council vote in favor. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Hunt, and Tilbrook, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
So while the clerk and I are signing the bylaws, it's a very short list of bylaws, you better speak quickly. We'll go to ward announcements and I'll start to my right. Councilor Sluss.
I just have one, Mr. Mayor. It's the Homedale Neighborhood Skating Party. It's at this Sunday, February 2nd, from 1 to 3 at Lincoln Square Park, which is on Lincoln Ave, and they're inviting the entire community to come down and have a skate. They've got 2 nice rinks there, and they're in great shape for skating. Everyone welcome.
Councilor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Don't have a lot. Speaking of in Homedale, had a email sent to me this past week. The great idea about, having us look at some kind of sponsorship somewhere down the road with having our outdoor rinks. Look at having some sponsorships come from local businesses, which I thought was an actually great idea. And I have had communication with staff, and hopefully we'll come up with something which I think will certainly get some traffic and some traction from local businesses within that trading area and those neighborhoods. So hopefully we can do something for these people who give their time to put up a rink for their community. And one last thing, the Family Day weekend, middle of February, will be the kickoff of our winter festival. So there'll be some stuff coming out, and let's all get together for that. And I think it's going to be an opportunity for all of us to get rid of those January, February blahs and get together as a community and celebrate some time together. And I look forward to having a great time and a great week with everybody. Thanks.
Councilor Carpenter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to extend a great big thank you to everybody that floods the rinks all over this community. We were blessed with a cold snap in early January, and they got out there very quickly and they flooded the rinks. And you could see every time I drive by a rink, the lights are on and it's full of young people skating and playing hockey and having fun. And it's due to the volunteers of our neighborhood association, our local community groups that do this, that make it all. We could not afford to do it ourselves, but it pays some. So I want to make sure we thank those people. And there's one more thing. I've been getting a lot of calls lately about the bell boxes and the Rogers cable boxes on the street, torn apart, knocked over, broken down, and in a disrepair that I think could be very well concerning for the danger to people walking, riding their bikes, or what have you, and they need to be cleaned up. And I'm going to ask staff to consider working on a resolution that we could bring to council, asking Rogers and Bell to clean up their act. Thank you.
Councilor Secoli.
Not a lot, but as we move into the month of love, February, I just wanted to say happy Valentine's Day, happy Family Day. And you can show your love and your support by participating or donating to those of us who are going to be walking in the coldest night of the year walk. We're working on getting our counselor team together, but I will definitely be out there either way. So that is February 22nd, and you can sign up online. It's coldest night of the year. Just Google it and you'll find our team there. That's all. Thanks.
Councilor McCurry.
Mayor, thank you. We begin the first of two public information centers and public hearings with respect to our Strengthening Community Engagement Initiative. The first is this Thursday, January 30th at the Woodman Community Center. I think I've said that right, on Gray Street, 4:30. There'll be a second one on Saturday at 2 p.m. here at City Hall. It's your opportunity to come out here and tell us what you think about how we should be engaging the public on issues big and small. Councilor Martinet would like to thank the kids from Resurrection School for sending us a packet of envelopes today with some suggestions about how to make their neighborhood better. Councilor Martin and I will be poring over those in the days to come and perhaps be bringing some things to council that originated from our good young citizens at Resurrection School. Thirdly, if you live on Grandview Ave, you may be seeing surveyors out there soon. Yes, we're getting a full reconstruction of Grandview Avenue. I believe it'll even be an urban cross section, which will be something novel for that street, which hasn't had a lot of attention since, I don't know, some time. And lastly, February is not only the month for Valentine's Day. I want to remind everybody that the 2nd is also Groundhog Day. And may we pray that the groundhog does whatever he does so that we don't have any more winter. Thank you. And watch out for kids who are out there celebrating.
Councilor Samwell.
Thank you. So I also had the public consultation on my list, but also in addition to that, on Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Doug Snooks Community Center, there's a water meter upgrade meeting. And I also just wanted to mention that this Friday at 4 p.m. at Harmony Square, we'll be raising a flag in honor of Black History Month. So I hope everybody will come out. Everyone's welcome. Thank you.
Councilor Van Tilburg. Councilor Hunt.
My only thing this month is that the Brandon Neighborhood Association is having their annual baseball registration on March the 2nd.
Okay, Counselor Sullivan.
Well, Counselor Samuel kind of stole my thunder with the public consultation with regards to the water meter, because that also affects the people in the Tutela Heights area as well. But more than that, with Valentine's coming, let's look outside of just our immediate relationships. Let's try and show some kindness towards one another while we're out there, and see if we can get everybody back out of the winter blues. That's it.
Lastly, Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was also to make a pitch for anybody who knew anything about the Norfolk arsonist to bring forward information, but I'm glad to see that the OPP have made an arrest. Hopefully they have the right individuals and we can put an end to these needless fires that are endangering both the public and firefighters.
All right, with that, like our business is completed and the January council meeting is hereby adjourned.